What is going on, guys? It is Tony K, Urban Girl Scout Media, living the dream as always, getting some background music on. Of course, I don't own the rights to any of this music, this is for fair use. But today's the day where I'm going to talk about Crimson Vow. It's the second part of the Innistrad block. I didn't really cover Midnight Hunt much. Innistrad's not a bad set, but it's also a set that, very theme heavy. So, what I wanted to do today, a few days before release, is just look at some of the higher end cards in the set. Really just talk a little bit about it. I don't know much about this set. The only things I've done here today is set these 2 pages to have some info. So, let's go ahead and just jump right in. Let's start with prices. So it's the 16th. The set officially drops on the 19th. Pre-release kits are being opened. Seeing some good results already. And look at some of these card prices here to start out. Some really interesting prices for a standard set, in my opinion. A good amount of cards north of that $10 mark. I think that's always really important. The set itself has how many cards? 277. And it looks like we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cards that are north of $10. So that's always a good sign to me starting out. And the reason I say that is because you hate to see these standard sets that come out and no value. Pre-release, no value. And it's really going to be up to the players to just enjoy the set. That's a great place to be, but also a terrible place to be at the same time. And I'll talk about that in other videos. Excuse me for the sniffles. It is early, just getting over a cold, still drinking my coffee. Let's jump right into this, though. The card that obviously is at the top here, this bad boy. Necroduality. Necroduality is a blue enchantment, and it says whenever a non-token zombie enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. That's big time. That's going to be big time. Blue-black zombies, especially in EDH, is a very fun build. Highly recommend. If you guys like playing zombies, you look into it. I can't remember the name of the enchantment off the top of my head, but the one that makes all your zombie spells cost 0, along with this Necroduality, you could be fucking some stuff up. At 4 mana, I like this card. I really like this card, and I think this might be one of the bangers of the set. I know it's easy to say right now it's the most expensive card, but I think it's going to be one of the cards coming out of the set long term that's going to hold its value because zombies is a popular tribe. Blue-black zombies, I'm telling you guys, it's super fun. It really is a fun build. And there's a lot of cards you can combo with. There's a lot of things you can do with this. I would be very, very prepared for Necroduality to remain an expensive piece, and dare I say an EDH staple. I really believe that. Just my opinion. Let's keep rolling. So we got this Cultivator Colossus. This was one of the only cards from preview season that I saw and was like, huh, interesting. Sorry, I had to blow my nose again. Let's mute this one more time. I'd rather have the awkward silence than you guys hear me blowing my nose first thing in the morning. Cultivator Colossus. So as if green didn't have enough big mean creatures, right? This bad boy, its power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. How cool is that? And when it comes into play, put a land into play tapped. Draw a card, beat the process. So you in theory could really flood the board with a few lands and reset yourself for success by refilling your hand. This is another card that, one of the few cards I saw from preview season, spoiler season, and I'm intrigued by this. We can already see it's gone down a little bit over the past week. I expect a lot of these card prices to go down as packs open. However, some of these mythics, keep your eye on them. Maniform, Hellkite, so that's just something that creates an XX Red Dragon. Don't really care there. So this bad boy has been jumping up aggressively. Let's look at Hullbreaker Horror. It is a rare, and I believe it's our first rare, not mythic. And it's a Kraken Horror, costing 7 with Flash. It can't be countered. It says when you cast a spell, choose up to 1. Check that out. Target spell you don't control, or target non-land permanent. Very interesting. Very interesting. A little expensive for my taste in terms of the casting cost. 7 is real. 7 is real, but very interesting card. I like the fact that in this set we get things like Kraken Horrors and things like that. I thought that was pretty cool. Let's just keep rolling. Up next, Cemetery Gatekeeper. Another one of these cards that seems to have a lot of value. And of course, vampires in this set, guys. If you like vampires, this is going to be a set that you really want to invest into. I think there's some cards in this. I know this is red. And red Mardu Vampires is pretty popular. Edgar Markov in EDH. So these cards are pretty flavorful. Cemetery Gatekeeper costs 2, first strike. When it enters the battlefield, exile a card from a graveyard. Whenever a player plays a land or casts a spell, if it shares a card type with the exiled card. Cemetery Gatekeeper deals 2 damage to that player. So it's interesting. It's super weak in terms of its toughness. I would have rather seen a 1/2 with first strike. Something, or maybe a 2/2, something like that, so it could protect itself a little bit better. Maybe a 1/3. I don't know. I don't know. That's up for debate. That's a personal preference kind of deal. But this overall, very interesting card. And if you've been paying attention between Harsh Mentor and is it Immolation Shaman and all that, Red is starting to put together a lot of 1, 2, and 3 drop creatures that can help with board control like this. Especially in the Historic and Pioneer formats, there's a lot of those cards. I would start keeping an eye on these. That's a prediction that I have. I'm going to make a TikTok on that to document that prediction. But I would keep an eye out for kind of a mono-red control creature build. I think it's coming. I really do. There's a lot of cards in that realm, and we'll see what happens. Let's just go down a few more. So we got the old Chandra Dressed to Kill. So there's our Planeswalker. Got some flip cards. Sorin the Mirthless. Got an Olivia. A lot of good stuff in here. Kaya, Geist Hunter. And you get down here, some more interesting cards. Overall, I'm excited. Vampires aren't my favorite tribe. I like them more than werewolves. But I do think that this set has a lot of interesting cards in it. I mean, I saw some lower end cards from previous seasons, stuff that it just looks interesting. Coming on down here to the land cycle, and you see it's 2 or more lands, and those are the ones we're getting. Again, not too bad. Really, the main thing I hope to point out is, I want to talk about Dig. I definitely remember Dig. The main thing I want to point out is, as you guys are opening these packs, pay attention to your prices. Because of how flavorful this set is going to be towards the Vampire Tribe, for people who really love the lore, I've felt like a lot of preview season, people are tying in the lore, like not WotC when they were releasing the cards, but fans. They were focusing on what that lore looks like. I would just say, be aware of what your card prices are, because some of this stuff is going to just move in weird directions. Even as we get down here past the $10 and up, you see there's a good amount of cards in that, we'll say $9 to $4 range, and then even in that $3 to $2 range. A lot of interesting cards. Keep your eye on that, guys. Definitely don't sleep on these. Last thing I want to talk about in this section is Cleave. So Cleave is a very interesting mechanic to throw on these cards, in my opinion. And you can basically see you can cast it for the 1 and do this with what's in the box, or you can cast it for the Cleave and ignore the text. That's it. There's some interesting cards for sure. There is a 3-drop extra turn card. Ultimate Gambit. And you see that's incredibly cheap right now. Incredibly cheap. Keep your eye on Cleave. I think there's a lot of players in the EDH format that love splashing colors, love finding value in cards, and I think Cleave is the perfect example of a mechanic that offers some unique value. For example, search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it in your hand. You could ignore the basic and the reveal part and just put it in your hand for 4. That is expensive, but think about all the lands you could get. And then the Gambit. So yes, it is 7. But you get to ignore the lose the turn, or lose the game at the end of that turn. So I think Cleave is actually one of the more interesting mechanics that I've seen in a while. A lot like other mechanics that they have. I hope that they continue to use this in the future. A great example of why I stress this is the dungeon mechanic from Forgotten Realms. I don't think they gave it enough support for people to continue to want to build and use it, hence why it may not be as popular as they want it to be. And I thought that was a really cool mechanic. It's slow, cumbersome, but still a really cool mechanic. Overall, from the very little bit that I've seen in spoiler season, preview season, and here today, Crimson Vow does look like it's going to be a very popular set. The last few sets that I've noticed where so much focus is put on the lore, War of the Spark, Throne of Eldraine, Forgotten Realms, those seem to be pretty popular amongst the players, which is what matters. I think that is going to be a big piece of this set, is that players, I know a lot of players that love vampires. I know a lot of players that love the Edgar Markov vampire builds in EDH. I know a lot of players that appreciate when Wizards of the Coast makes a focus on the lore. And I think that's something that they've done in this set pretty strong. Now you'll see that I've not gone into the into all the different variations of cards and things like that. That's not really my style here, and I don't really care too much. For the most part, there are times where I find those cards fascinating, but more so for my personal collection. My tips to you guys about this set: get in early. Get in early. I just get a feeling that this set has a lot of stuff in it where long term I think it's going to age well. I think that the flavor, the art, I mean, this is a darker set, just like with Midnight Hunt. These are a little bit darker. Innistrad's always been a fan favorite. I think these and Forgotten Realms we're coming up to, what dare I say, a little bit of momentum. A little bit of momentum where we can say that WotC is starting to release some good sets. They're starting to do a good job, and hopefully they continue it. And I'm excited. Today I plan on going to buy pre-release kit and a couple set boosters. I'll open that stuff up later, and hopefully pull something amazing. But overall, again, I've probably only seen about 30% of this set in total, and not a lot of it was the rares and mythics. Whether it's showcase for some of them, or commons and uncommons, things like that. I think the set overall has some interesting stuff going on. I do think it's going to be pretty fun in a draft limited setup. I'm hoping that Arena, I don't know if they've actually announced if they're going to do this or not, but I'm really hoping that Arena decides to do a Crimson Vow Midnight Hunt, 6 packs draft. I think that would be really interesting. But overall, what do you guys think? Are you happy with the way that this product was released, where we barely got through Midnight Hunt? There's still boxes of it being cracked by stores to fill their shelves with supplies, but here we are getting ready for our next set. Do you think they should have spread it out more? Do you think this set has value? Do you think I'm crazy in saying that the set itself is going to be good? Obviously, I haven't gone through every single card. I'm not going to go through all 277 cards. When I've seen enough to make me excited, I'm not going to sweat that too much. But what do you guys think? Tell me below. Let's get that conversation rolling. I always love hearing what the community thinks of these new sets. And I think that this is our last standard set of the year. So, boys and girls, after this, it's 2022. It is Neon Dynasty. It is Back to Dominaria. It is the Brothers War Revisited. All that. So we're going back. 2022 is going to be a year of going back. 2021 was very interesting. I'm going to do a year in review here eventually. So tell me what you guys think, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. Just wanted to ramble for a bit. I really don't know what else to say about this other than tell me what you guys pull. If you want to share those images on my Facebook page at Urban Girl Scout Media on Facebook, go for it. YouTube and TikTok, if you want to interact with anything I'm doing there, go for it. Let's get some conversation going, and of course, as always, thank you guys so much for joining me. We'll see you next time.